Monterey, California, March 2013. A quiet coastal town where the cool wind from the Pacific slipped gently between the houses. On an ordinary Tuesday, no one could have guessed that something capable of changing the fate of the world was about to begin here. In a modest home in the seaside neighborhood, something silent but deeply strange was about to happen. 5-year-old Lucas Miller was sitting on the floor, drawing with his paints. But this wasn't random scribbling, not even close, and no one had realized that yet. As Lucas's mother, Emily Miller, walked from the kitchen into the living room, she noticed her son sitting on the floor. Paints were scattered everywhere, red, blue, yellow. She smiled. It was a familiar sight. Like any 5-year-old, Lucas often sat on the floor drawing for hours. But as Emily stepped closer, the smile froze on her face. Her heart felt as if it had forgotten to beat. Because what was on the paper could not belong to a child's imagination. It was a complete star map. Constellations drawn with almost perfect mathematical precision. Planetary orbits laid out as if by the hand of an astronomer. And at the very center of it all, marked with a red X, was a single point. Emily dropped to her knees without realizing it. At the bottom of the page, written in trembling handwriting, were these words: 3. I-Atlas is coming. A cold shiver ran down Emily's spine. Lucas had never seen a star map before. He could barely read. How could he possibly know that name? She whispered to herself. Trying to stay calm, she turned to her son. Lucas, sweetheart, she said gently. Can you tell me what this is? Lucas looked up. He met his mother's gaze with large brown eyes. His voice was calm, too calm. It's a visitor, Mom, he said. It's coming from very, very far away. Emily swallowed hard. And how do you know this? Lucas answered without hesitation. Papa Elon knows, he said, but he can't tell anyone yet. Papa Elon. The ground beneath Emily's feet seemed to shift. Her 5-year-old son was speaking about Elon Musk, not like a distant figure on television, but like a familiar name. But Emily didn't yet realize that this wasn't the most frightening part, because this was only the beginning. That night, Lucas woke up screaming. When Emily rushed into his room, she found him standing by the window, pointing at the dark sky. There, Mom, he whispered. If you know where to look, you can see it too. Emily's heart began to race, and then Lucas said the sentence that left her in shock. NASA has been watching it since December, but they're afraid to tell the truth. Emily stared at him. A 5-year-old child. How could he know about NASA? And why did everything he said sound so real? Emily didn't know it yet, but the answers to these questions would uncover one of humanity's greatest secrets. And once this story had begun, it could no longer be stopped. Emily barely slept that night. Even after Lucas drifted off, she stood by the window for a long time, staring at the sky. The stars were exactly where they had always been. Quiet, ordinary. But nothing felt ordinary anymore. NASA has been watching it since December. The sentence kept echoing in her mind. When Lucas woke up the next morning, everything seemed normal. He had breakfast, spilled his milk, played with his toy cars. To anyone watching, he was just a regular child. But Emily saw something else now. It felt like Lucas was carrying a secret, and that secret didn't belong to someone his age. That morning, Emily made an instinctive decision, a mother's reflex. She called Lucas's pediatrician, Dr. Michael Harris. She tried to sound calm on the phone, but her voice trembled. She talked about the drawings, about what Lucas had said. Even the phrase, Papa Elon. She mentioned it, almost embarrassed. Deep down, she expected the doctor to laugh, to say, "It's just imagination." But Dr. Harris didn't say that. There was a short silence on the line. Then his tone changed. "Emily, I need to see you and Lucas tomorrow. Please bring all of his drawings." "Is something wrong?" Emily asked. "I don't know," the doctor said honestly, "but we need to talk about this in person." When the call ended, Emily's hands were shaking. That evening, Lucas started drawing again. But this time, it was different. Emily sat in the kitchen, watching him. Lucas's hand was moving much faster than usual, as if he wasn't thinking, as if someone was whispering instructions. This time, there were no stars on the paper. There were numbers, coordinates, and a single date. April 20th, 2025. Emily could no longer deny it. This was not a child's drawing. She took a photo of it with her phone, just to get an opinion. She uploaded it to a small Facebook group, Local Moms Around Monterey. "Am I overthinking this?" she wrote. "If this were my child, I'd be scared." She waited for comments. Maybe someone would say, "We went through the same thing." But what happened instead was very different. Within 2 hours, her phone exploded with notifications. One comment stood out. It came from an anonymous account. "These coordinates exactly match the projected flight path of an object known as 3I Atlas. How does your son know this? Who are you?" Emily read the comment over and over again. Her heart raced. Her mouth went dry. She opened her laptop and typed 3I Atlas. There were almost no results. A few astronomy forums, deleted Reddit threads, rumors of an unidentified interstellar object, but no official sources. Just as she was about to close the computer, her phone rang. Private number. Emily hesitated, then answered. "Mrs. Miller," said a serious male voice. "My name is Robert Hayes. I'm calling from a coordination unit associated with NASA." Emily's breath caught. Why are you calling me?" "We need to talk about your son's drawings," the man said, "and I need you to stop sharing anything on social media immediately. This is very important." Emily's legs gave way. NASA, a 5-year-old child, had caught NASA's attention. "What's happening?" she whispered. "I don't understand any of this." There was a long silence on the line. Then Hayes spoke again. "Your son may have disclosed information that is internationally classified. The kind of information only a very small number of people in the world are aware of." Emily couldn't respond. At that exact moment, Lucas's voice came from his room. "Mom, The man on the phone is scared. Emily froze. Lucas continued. Tell him it's okay. Nothing bad happened. Papa Elon already knows that I know. Emily slowly pulled the phone away from her ear. Lucas was in his room. Yet he knew what was being said. But that wasn't the most terrifying part. The most terrifying part was this. Lucas was right again. And in that moment, Emily finally understood. This story no longer belonged only to her family. The next morning, as Emily buckled Lucas into the car, she noticed her hands were still shaking. She had barely slept. The same thought kept looping in her mind. NASA called. For my 5-year-old son. Lucas, meanwhile, was swinging his seatbelt in the back seat, looking out the window, as if none of this affected him at all. Where are we going today, Mom? He asked cheerfully. To the doctor, Emily said. Then she added, and we're going to talk to a few more people. Lucas nodded, as if he already knew. Dr. Michael Harris's office was as quiet as ever, but that day, everything felt darker to Emily, heavier. The doctor studied the drawings for a long time, one by one, in silence. Then he took a deep breath. Emily, he said slowly, I've worked in child development for over 20 years. Emily felt her heart start to race. And I can say this clearly. These drawings cannot be explained by a child's imagination. Something inside Emily broke. Then, how can they be explained? She whispered. Dr. Harris stood up and closed the door. I can't evaluate this on my own, he said. I need to send these drawings to Stanford University. Emily looked up. Stanford? He nodded. There's an astrophysicist there, Dr. Eleanor Watkins. She works with data like this. Lucas, who had been rolling his toy car along the edge of the desk, suddenly spoke. She's waiting for us. Dr. Harris flinched. Who? He asked. Lucas didn't look up. Dr. Watkins, he said. She has a blue folder. The room fell into a short, but heavy, silence. 2 days later, Emily and Lucas were on the Stanford University campus. Everything had happened fast. Phone calls, emails, voices saying, we need to discuss this in person. They were led into a windowless meeting room. 3 people were inside, 2 men in dark blue suits, and a woman wearing an ID badge. I'm Dr. Eleanor Watkins, she said. I specialize in interstellar objects. She placed a blue folder on the table. Lucas's drawings, satellite images, graphs, lined up side by side, and they matched perfectly. Dr. Watkins opened the folder and pointed to a date, December 20th, 2024. This, she said, is the date when 3I Atlas was first detected by the James Webb Space Telescope. Emily's breath caught. This object, Dr. Watkins continued, does not officially exist. Emily didn't understand. How can it not exist? Dr. Watkins raised her eyes. It means its existence is being denied. At that moment, one of the men spoke. My name is Andrew Collins. I'm here on behalf of Musk X. The other man didn't introduce himself. He only said one thing. This information is currently known by only 5 people in the world. Emily's voice trembled. Then how does my son know this? Dr. Watkins slowly turned to Lucas. Lucas looked back at her. Because, Lucas said calmly, I've seen it before. Everyone froze. When? Emily asked. Lucas shrugged. Before I was born. No one spoke. Then Lucas added, and you found the signals on March 5th. Every 45 minutes. Dr. Watkins's hand stopped on the table. Who told him this? She whispered. Lucas shook his head. No one, he said. I remember. After the Stanford meeting, nothing felt the same. Emily felt it the moment she got into the car. Lucas was unusually quiet in the back seat. Normally, he asked questions non-stop, commented on everything he saw. Now he just stared out the window, as if waiting for something. Are you okay? Emily asked. Lucas nodded. Yes, Mom, he said. I'm going to feel even better soon. Emily didn't understand that sentence, and she was afraid to ask. That evening, the phone never stopped ringing. Unknown numbers, text messages, missed calls. Emily turned everything off, but around 1 a.m., the phone rang again. This time, a name appeared on the screen. Andrew Collins. Emily hesitated, then answered. Mrs. Miller, Andrew said, I need you to be prepared. For what? Emily asked. Tomorrow, he said. Someone from Musk X wants to speak with you. Emily's throat went dry. Who? A brief pause. Then Andrew spoke. Elon Musk's office. The next day, there was a strange silence in the house. Lucas had breakfast, brushed his teeth, then sat down at the computer, as if he had an appointment. Emily watched without saying a word. At exactly 2 p.m., the screen turned on, and there it was. A live feed from the Musk X offices in California. A figure appeared on screen. As always, there was a faintly tense smile on his face, but his eyes were unusually serious. Hello, Lucas, he said. It's nice to meet you. Lucas smiled. Hello, Papa Elon, he said easily. I knew you'd come. Musk let out a short laugh, but it faded quickly. You knew? He asked. Lucas nodded. Yes, because you're building the bridge. Musk frowned. A bridge? Between here and there, Lucas said. Between you and us. Emily held her breath. Musk was silent for a few seconds. Then he spoke. Lucas, he said, I need you to tell me something. Who is giving you this information? Lucas didn't hesitate. No one. Then where does it come from? Lucas looked straight into the camera. I remember. Musk's expression changed. When? He asked quietly. Before I was born, Lucas said. When I was among the stars. A deep silence filled the room. Emily could hear her own heartbeat. Musk lowered his head, closed his eyes for a moment, then spoke slowly. You're not the first, are you? Lucas shook his head. No. How many are there? Musk asked. Lucas thought for a moment. 11, he said. Spread across the world. Musk exhaled. And you? Why are you here? Lucas's voice grew serious. To help, he said. And you remember too, he added. You're aware of it. Musk's gaze shifted to Emily, then back to Lucas. If what you're saying is true, he said slowly, this changes everything. Lucas smiled. It already is. The call ended abruptly. The screen went dark, but seconds later, Emily's phone vibrated. A message. Unknown number. Keep this number. If Lucas says anything, no matter the time, call me immediately. EM. As Emily held the phone, she realized something. Her hands weren't shaking anymore, because there was a truth she could no longer run from. This story wasn't just about Lucas, and whatever was coming next had only just begun. After the meeting with Musk, the air inside the house had changed. Everything looked the same. The kitchen table was still there. The toys were in the corner. Outside, the wind moved the trees, but Emily felt it deep in her bones. There was no turning back now. That evening, Lucas didn't draw a star map. That caught Emily's attention. He sat quietly at the table, took a single sheet of paper. Not crayons this time. He chose a fine-tipped pen. His small hand moved with unusual determination. Emily watched from a distance. Slowly, a landscape appeared on the page. A flat horizon, rocky hills, an empty, desolate terrain, a desert. Then Lucas wrote coordinates at the bottom of the page. Emily stepped closer. She wasn't good with numbers, but she knew one thing. This wasn't random. Lucas, she said softly, where is this? Without looking up, he answered, the Mojave Desert. Emily's chest tightened. And why the Mojave? She asked. Lucas set the pen down and looked at his mother. Because it's quiet, he said, and that's where the signal will be heard the clearest. Then he added one more thing to the paper. April 20th, 2025, 0340. Emily's throat went dry. What will happen at that time? She asked. Lucas paused for a few seconds before answering, as if choosing his words carefully. 3i Atlas will send its strongest signal. And if someone is there, they'll see it. They'll hear it. Without saying a word, Emily picked up her phone. With trembling fingers, she dialed the number Musk had given her. It was answered on the first ring. Emily, Musk's voice said. Something happened. Lucas drew something, Emily said. Coordinates, a date, a time. A short silence, then the sound of typing. When Musk spoke again, his voice was harder than usual. These coordinates, he said, match the point of highest visibility of 3i Atlas relative to Earth. Emily closed her eyes. How does he know this? Musk asked quietly. I don't know, Emily said honestly, but he says we need to be there. This time the silence was longer. Finally, Musk spoke. We're coming too. Emily's breath caught. What do you mean? Within 48 hours, Musk said. We'll pick you up. Be ready. 2 days later, a private jet with dark windows and no logos landed at Monterey Airport. Emily, her husband Daniel, and Lucas boarded the plane. Inside were 3 NASA scientists, 2 Musk X engineers, and Andrew Collins. No one talked much. As the plane took off, Lucas looked out the window. They're watching us, he said calmly. Daniel flinched. Who? He asked. Lucas didn't answer. 2 hours later, the jet landed on a temporary runway set up in the middle of the Mojave Desert. Tents, measuring equipment, satellite antennas. A silent but intense activity filled the air, and at the center of the camp, a man stood, scanning the sky through binoculars. Musk. When he saw Lucas, he didn't walk toward him. He stopped, then knelt down. "You came," he said. Lucas nodded. "I had to," he said. "You need to see this." "What am I going to see?" Musk asked. Lucas paused, then looked up at the sky. "Proof," he said. "Proof that we're not alone." And in a lower voice, he added, "And proof that they've been waiting until we were ready." Above them, the stars were beginning to appear one by one. Time seemed to slow down, and even though no one said it out loud, everyone felt the same thing. Something was about to happen. The Mojave Desert is quiet at night, but that night, the silence wasn't ordinary. It felt as if nature itself was holding its breath. The wind had almost completely stopped. Even the fabric of the tents didn't move. The sky was unusually clear. The stars looked brighter than normal. For hours, everyone had been preparing. Telescopes were aligned. Radio receivers stood ready. Screens glowed with streams of data against dark backgrounds. No one spoke. As the clock approached 4:40 a.m., the tension in the camp became tangible. Lucas was sitting on a rock just outside the camp, swinging his legs. He didn't look like a child waiting for something. He looked like someone who had arrived early for an appointment. Emily walked over to him. "Are you cold?" she asked. Lucas shook his head. "No, Mom," he said. "It's going to get warm soon." Emily didn't understand that sentence, and this time she didn't try to. 4:45 a.m. Lucas stood up. Without saying a word, he pointed to the sky. "It's coming." One of the screens beeped, then another. Suddenly the camp filled with sound. "We've got something," one of the scientists whispered. This isn't a satellite." In the sky among the stars, a light appeared. It wasn't bright, but it was undeniable. It was faster than any satellite, slower than a meteor, and it wasn't moving in a straight line. "This movement is intentional," one of the Musk engineers said. "This is a route." The radio receivers went wild. Waves appeared on the screens, regular, repeating. "This isn't noise," Dr. Watkins said. "This is a pattern." They began calculating rapidly. Prime numbers, then the Fibonacci sequence. Dr. Watkins's face turned pale. "This can't be natural," she whispered. "This is mathematics." Musk said nothing. He was just staring at the sky. Emily noticed something strange on his face. It wasn't fear. It wasn't shock. It was recognition. Lucas closed his eyes, and in that moment, something changed. Lucas began to speak, but not in his own voice. His voice was deeper, slower, as if the words were passing through him. "Is anyone listening?" Everyone in the camp froze. Emily couldn't breathe. Lucas continued. "The window is open. The time is near. Those who are ready will hear." Recording devices were running. Cameras were capturing everything. No one could move. Lucas's face had changed. He no longer looked like a 5-year-old child. He looked older, ancient, as if, for a brief moment, something far greater was there. The signal lasted 11 minutes and 22 seconds. Then it stopped. The light changed direction, slowly drifted away and disappeared among the stars. A deep silence fell over the camp. No one spoke until a Musk technician said in a trembling voice, "The data is still coming." "This is a map," Dr. Watkins said, staring at the screen. "Spatial coordinates." Then a date appeared. August 2028. Daniel wrapped his arms around Lucas. "My son," he said. "What happens then?" Lucas opened his eyes. This time his voice was his own again. Calm, very calm. "Then," he said, "the real ones will come." He paused, then added, "And the world will have to be ready." Emily looked up at the sky. The stars were still there, but nothing at all, was the same anymore. After leaving the camp in the Mojave Desert, the world was no longer the same. Officially, nothing was announced. Cameras were shut down. The data was under review. But the truth found its way out through leaks. First, a short video appeared online, shaky footage, an unidentified light moving across the sky, a muffled voice in the background. This is a mathematical pattern." The video was deleted within hours, but it was already too late. A day later, another video surfaced, this time from India. A mother was filming her son with her phone. The child was sitting on the floor, a pen in his hand, and on the paper, the same symbol Lucas had drawn, the same spiral, the same markings, the same central point. Then Japan, Brazil, South Africa, Germany. Children the same age, the same drawings, the same words, and always the same name, 3I Atlas. At first, news channels called it collective hysteria. Psychologists spoke. Sociologists offered theories. But then something happened. A report leaked from inside Musk X. It contained only one sentence. "The information provided by these children matches non-public data exactly." The world erupted. Emily sat at home watching the television. Lucas was beside her on the floor, lining up his toys, as if nothing had changed. But Emily knew now. Lucas wasn't an exception. He was a signal. "Mom," Lucas suddenly said. Emily turned to him. "They're waking up too." "Who?" she asked. Lucas looked at the screen. "Others like me." Emily's heart began to race. "How many?" she whispered. Lucas thought for a moment. 11, he said. "They're all over the world," he continued, "and they all remember." At that moment, the tablet in Lucas's room vibrated. A notification, then another, and another. A message from Andrew Collins. "A meeting is being arranged, classified, for you only." As Emily read the message, Lucas stood up. "I'll talk to them," he said. "How?" Emily asked. Lucas picked up the tablet. "We're already connected." 2 hours later, the screen turned on. Emily held her breath. On the screen were other children, different skin tones, different languages, different countries, but all of them were looking at Lucas as if they already knew him. The first to speak was a girl from Japan. "My name is Hana," she said. "I remember." Then a boy from Brazil spoke. "I'm Lucas Pereira. The code's arrived." Another child added, "The time is getting closer." Lucas smiled. "Hello," he said. "We finally found each other." Emily couldn't hold back her tears. These children weren't meeting for the first time. It felt like they had known each other for years. Then Lucas's expression turned serious. "We need to prepare," he said. "For what?" someone asked. Lucas answered simply, "For the meeting." A silence followed. Then one child asked, "What if people aren't ready?" Lucas paused, then spoke in a calm, steady voice. "Then they'll wait, just like they did before." The screen went dark. Emily looked at her son. "Lucas," she said softly, "you're not alone, are you?" Lucas shook his head. "No, Mom," he said. "I never was." Then he added, "But now, the world isn't alone either." After the call, no one spoke for a long time. When Emily put Lucas to bed, his face was calm, peaceful, as if a weight he had been carrying had finally lifted. For Emily, it was the opposite, because this was no longer just about space. This was about humanity's past. The next day, Andrew Collins called again. This time his voice was more formal than ever. "Emily," he said, "what Lucas described has been verified." Emily swallowed. "Verified how?" "The other children's coordinates, drawings, and dates," he said. "They all point to the same thing." "To what?" Emily asked. Andrew hesitated. "To the past." That same day, a much smaller, highly restricted meeting took place at Stanford. Only 6 people were in the room: Dr. Eleanor Watkins, 2 archaeologists, 1 historian, Andrew Collins, and Elon Musk. On the screen, Emily and Lucas. Dr. Watkins placed old maps on the table, geological layer charts, satellite images, and extremely ancient historical notes. "The first contact the children describe," she said, "points to a specific time." She turned the map, approximately 66,000 years ago. The room stirred. One of the archaeologists objected. "That's impossible. At that time, humans—" Lucas spoke. They were watching. Everyone turned to him. "Humans were watching the sky back then," Lucas said, "and something was watching them." Dr. Watkins continued carefully. "The coordinates the children provided point to East Africa." She marked a location on the map: Tanzania, Olduvai Gorge. Emily's breath caught. Olduvai, known as the cradle of humanity. The historian whispered, "This is where the earliest human remains were found." Lucas nodded. "And the first remembering." One of the archaeologists lowered his voice. "So you're saying—" "Yes," Lucas said. "This isn't the first time." Dr. Watkins's face went pale, and the words slipped out. "If this is true, this isn't a discovery. This is a return." After the meeting, Musk spoke openly for the first time. "The children want to meet," he said. "Physically." Andrew frowned. "That's extremely risky." Lucas leaned closer to the screen. "Necessary." "When?" Musk asked. Lucas didn't hesitate. "Before September 2027. "And where?" Lucas looked at the map, then said a single sentence: "Where everything began." That night, Emily sat in her son's room for a long time. "Lucas," she said gently, "do you really have to do this?" Lucas looked at her. There was no fear in his eyes, no hesitation, only responsibility. "Someone had to remember, Mom," he said. And now, I'm not alone. Emily kissed his forehead. A voice inside her knew there was no turning back now, and that the world was about to face its own past very soon. The road to Olduvai Gorge was quiet. As the off-road vehicles moved slowly beneath the African sun, no one spoke much. Everyone felt the same thing, but no one said it out loud. This was not an ordinary archaeological site. Officially, it was labeled a geological survey, but everyone in the convoy knew the truth. In one of the vehicles sat Lucas. Emily was beside him. Musk sat in the front. Lucas looked out the window. "We're close," he said calmly. Musk checked his watch. "Have you been here before?" he asked. Lucas nodded. "Yes," he said, "a very long time ago." The camp was set up at a specific point in Olduvai, a place that had been excavated, studied, documented again and again. The scientific world knew this site by heart, but the moment Lucas stepped out of the vehicle, he changed direction. He walked a short distance away from the camp. Then he stopped. Without hesitation, he pointed to a rock. "Here." One of the archaeologists frowned. "This area has been closed for years," he said. "It's been excavated many times." Lucas looked up. "You were looking in the wrong place," he said. The excavation teams began working, almost instinctively. No one truly expected to find anything. But just 2 hours later, one of the shovels struck something hard. A metallic sound. The archaeologist froze. "This isn't natural." The soil was cleared slowly. What emerged was too precise to belong to nature. Sharp lines, perfect angles. "This is impossible," one archaeologist whispered. "This layer is at least 71,000 years old." As the excavation deepened, a small sealed cavity appeared, a chamber. Inside it, symbols carved into the rock, the same symbols Lucas had drawn, exactly the same as those seen in the 3-eye atlas signal. Dr. Watkins dropped to her knees. "This can't be," she said, her voice shaking. "This isn't technology." Lucas stepped beside her. "It's a reminder," he said. Samples were taken. Dating was performed. The results came back 2 days later. 73,200 years plus or minus 200 years. No one spoke. Dr. Watkins stared at the results again and again. "Science isn't ready for this," she said. "The world isn't ready." Lucas smiled softly. "If you were ready," he said, "we wouldn't be here." Then they noticed something else, right at the center of the chamber. Beneath the soil lay a small object, metallic, small enough to fit in the palm of a hand. It had crystalline elements, and it was emitting light. No one dared to touch it. Lucas stepped forward. Emily instinctively moved toward him. "Lucas!" But he didn't stop. He reached out and touched it. The object came alive, an image projected into the air, a hologram. Not Earth this time, the galaxy, stars, roots, and a path beginning 40 light years away, leading here. A single date appeared above the map, September 15th, 2027. Elon Musk whispered, "They knew." Lucas nodded. "They always did." Dr. Watkins's voice trembled. What does this mean? Lucas lifted his eyes. It means they're getting closer, he said. And it means, he paused, we can't hide anymore. What was uncovered beneath the soil was not just an object. It was an invitation, and the world had already received it. At first, the images from Olduvai circulated only within a small circle. Scientists, military advisors, government representatives. But a truth of this magnitude could not remain silent. The hologram recording, the symbols, the 73,000-year dating. Together, they left no room for misinterpretation. This wasn't a theory. It wasn't even a discovery. It was an encounter. After returning from Olduvai, Musk made a single decision. There would be no hiding, no delaying. The world has to know, he said. 3 days later, the countdown began for the most watched live broadcast in history. When the screens turned on, billions were watching, from America to Asia, from Africa to Europe. Musk stood before the cameras. Beside him, Dr. Eleanor Watkins, and, slightly behind them, Lucas, a 6-year-old child, but his posture was far beyond his age. Musk spoke. Today, I'm not introducing a technology. I'm not announcing a company. Today, I'm announcing that humanity is not alone. A deep silence filled the hall. Musk continued. 73,000 years ago, Earth was visited. This was not an invasion. It was a gift. A seed was planted. On the screen appeared the object found in Olduvai, the hologram, the galactic route, and the date, September 15th, 2027. Journalists shifted in their seats. One shouted, "Is this a threat?" Musk shook his head. "No, this is an invitation." Then Lucas stepped forward. He didn't reach for the microphone. He didn't need to. His voice echoed inside everyone. "They're not coming," he said calmly. "They were already here. They watched us. They waited for us to grow. And now they're asking just one question." He paused. "Are we ready?" A journalist stood up. "And if we're not?" Lucas looked at him. "They'll wait," he said, "like they did before. They won't force us. Because this is our choice." That day, the world didn't stop, but it changed. People began looking up at the sky. Religious leaders made statements. Scientists formed new theories. And most unexpectedly, conflicts began to slow. Temporarily. Fragile, but real. For the first time, humanity was asking the same question. Who are we? And perhaps more importantly, who do we want to be? That evening, Emily sat beside Lucas. "Everything has grown so big," she whispered. "Can you carry this?" Lucas looked at his mother. He smiled. "I'm not carrying it, Mom," he said. "We're carrying it together." Then he added, "That's why. There are 17 of us." The days following the press conference entered history as the quiet days. Televisions were on. Phones wouldn't stop ringing. But in the streets, there was a strange calm. People weren't shouting. There was no panic. Instead, there was thinking. There was looking up at the sky. The object recovered from Olduvai was transferred to an isolated research facility. No national flags, no institutional logos, only people. As scientists studied the object, they realized something crucial. It wasn't a machine. It was a message carrier. And the message unfolded over time. First, mathematics, then geometry, and finally, language. What was unbelievable was this. The message adapted itself to every major language on Earth. English, Arabic, Chinese, Turkish, Spanish. And in every one of them, the meaning was the same. A single sentence. When you are ready, we are already here. Lucas and the other 11 children were no longer separate. They met every week through a classified connection. But now they spoke less, because it was no longer about remembering, it was about preparing. During one meeting, Lucas from Brazil spoke first. Time is getting shorter. Hannah added, they're not rushing us. We're rushing ourselves, Lucas Miller said. Everyone on the screen fell silent. Then Lucas continued, we need to meet one last time. Physically. When? Someone asked. Lucas answered, before the arrival. And where? He didn't hesitate. In orbit. At first, no one could speak. Orbit, a space station, 11 children, and representatives of humanity. Elon Musk joined the meeting late. He asked only one question. Are you ready? Lucas nodded. We were born ready. Across the world, the countdown began. Calendars were marked. September 15th, 2027. But no one believed this was an end. This was a threshold. That night, Emily lay beside Lucas. Can I ask you something? She whispered. Of course, Lucas said. What are they like? Emily asked. Do they resemble us? Lucas thought, then answered. They're calmer than us. More patient. And they care about us. Emily's eyes filled with tears. And fear, she whispered. People might be afraid. Lucas held her hand. Fear, he said, comes from what we don't know. Now we know. At that same moment, all across the world, people felt the same thing. Uncertainty was still there, but panic was not. Because for the first time, humanity knew it was not alone. And a species that knows it is not alone can never remain the same. September 15th, 2027, 0350 Universal Time. The world was awake. No official announcement had been made, but people knew. They felt something was about to happen. City lights stayed on. In villages, people stepped outside. Some prayed. Some simply looked up at the sky. There was fear. But more than fear, there was respect. Silence filled the orbital station. 11 children floated in a circle, holding hands. In zero gravity, their small bodies slowly rotated. Lucas closed his eyes. This time, he didn't speak. There was no need, because now, everyone was listening. Radars detected a signal. It wasn't 3-eye Atlas. This was far larger. A structure kilometers long, its geometry beyond human perception. Its light wasn't metallic. It felt alive. It stopped about 1,000 kilometers from the station. No defense systems activated. No alarm sounded. It was as if everything had already been agreed upon. Lucas opened his eyes. When he spoke, his voice was less like words and more like a feeling. "Welcome," he said. "We are here." The response didn't arrive as sound. It flowed directly into minds. Images, worlds built among the stars, species living together in peace and patience, a very long patience. Then a single question appeared, clear, simple. "Do you wish to join us?" The question belonged to no language, yet everyone understood it. On Earth, millions of people felt the same thing at the same moment. There was no pressure, no force, only an invitation. And for the first time in human history, a single answer formed, silent but powerful. Yes. Light radiated from the vessel. Beings emerged. They were not frightening, not alien. Strangely, they felt familiar, like members of a family separated long ago. Tears drifted from Lucas's eyes, floating weightless around his face. Emily's voice echoed in his headset. "Did we do it?" she whispered. Lucas smiled. "Yes, Mom," he said. "We remembered." That day, no war began, no miracle exploded, but something changed. Humanity was no longer alone, and more importantly, it was no longer a child.